Parable of the 10 Dancers. It's the parable of the 10 dancers. Practice makes perfect, perfect makes the team. 10 pretty dancers, one shared dream. To make it in the number, to be a shining star takes a lot of preparation, cause that's what gets you far. So 10 pretty dancers with one big dream showed up at tryouts to learn a new routine. They each got a number, they all got in line, but 5 of them were foolish and the other 5 were wise. The teacher explained, keep your numbers close, cause when the judges come to finals, your numbers matter most. So the confident fools said their numbers wouldn't get lost. They were careless in their placement, didn't stop to count the cost. Half took heed cause they wanted to get in, so they tacked the numbers to themselves using safety pins. 1 count, 2 count, 3 count, 4. They practiced and practiced and practiced some more. 5 count, 6 count, 7 count, 8. They all took a rest since the judges were late. Then they heard a yell, a loud voice from afar. Here come the judges, soon finals will start. This was their moment, this was their chance to make the team they dreamed of, but a problem was at hand. 5 had their numbers, their key ticket inside, pinned to their clothes. The ones who were wise, the others who were careless, had lots of anxiety. They couldn't find their numbers, so they scrambled in defeat. So the foolish asked the wise for an impossible favor. Share your numbers with us so we too can go in there. But the wise said to the foolish, our numbers can't be split. If you want to get inside, you'll have to go reprint. But while the foolish were away, the judges arrived. In went the dancers and the door shut behind. The foolish ones returned and the doors had been shut. They cried in loud voices, please open up for us. The judges replied, no can do. All our dancers are inside. Sorry, we don't know you. 5 wise made the team, lived out their wildest dreams. 5 foolish left behind, somewhere causing the scene. They went out sad, probably distraught, but there's one huge lesson that had to be taught. Stand and watch, don't dare turn away, cause you, my friend, don't know the hour nor the day. Cause you, my friend, don't know the hour nor the day. Each time I read the parable of the 10 virgins, I am reminded of the importance of preparation, and through this project, I am inspired also by the importance of wisdom and opportunity. Before Jesus shared the parable of the 10 virgins, or as some versions of the Bible call it, the 10 bridesmaids, Matthew 23:3 describes how he sat down on the Mount of Olives and was asked by his disciples about the time frame of demolition to the temple buildings. He responded by telling them of the future and of his glorious return. The parable of the 10 virgins was one of several parables he shared back to back during his conversation to prepare those who were following him to understand what was to come. The 10 virgins represent his followers who hope to meet him, whereas the oil is a metaphor used to describe literal preparedness for his return. Jesus described those who were prepared as wise versus those who were unprepared as foolish, and he differentiated between the actions of the two. The wise carried extra oil for the journey, whereas the foolish ran out of oil. When the bridegroom, which represented Jesus, was on his way, the foolish virgins had run out of oil and were unprepared to enter the marriage feast. So they turned to the wise virgins and asked to borrow some oil, but the wise virgins explained that there was not enough oil to share, and they encouraged the foolish virgins to go and buy some. During their journey to buy more oil, the foolish virgins missed their opportunity to enter the feast and were locked out. When they knocked on the door, the bridegroom, which was the host of the feast, said, I do not know you. The moral of the story has a key focus on preparation, as none of us know the day nor the hour to which Jesus will return. 2 additional focuses that I highlighted in reading this text in the parable are the focuses of wisdom and of opportunity. When I think of preparedness, I think of the virgins who were considered wise. They saw the opportunity at hand and did not take it for granted. The chance to dine with the bridegroom was important to them, so they used wisdom in gathering extra oil for their journey. They likely considered the what ifs, like what if there was a delay? The wise also used wisdom in not allowing the unwise to pressure them into also being deemed unprepared. They graciously encouraged the foolish virgins to go buy oil for themselves, while simultaneously preserving the oil that they, the wise virgins, had prepared for themselves. There was a clear boundary set here. If we share ours, there won't be enough for us and for you. This is an important facet of the story because it teaches us that preparation for the return of Jesus cannot be shared. It's not something that we can give to others. And our own preparation must also be guarded. This is the part that impacted me most deeply about this parable, as I've often carried the burden of saving others and have struggled from time to time with a savior complex, if you will. This parable reminds me that Jesus is the only one who saves, and each of us, whether virgins or bridesmaids, whichever term you prefer, has to do the individual work to be saved and to enter the banquet. The foolish teach us the consequences of unpreparedness, and they also teach us the desperation that will come when Christ returns and time has run out. This lack of wisdom to bring extra oil, or even to have used the delayed time to go buy more oil, shows a deeper issue within the heart posture of the foolish. Had they valued the opportunity to dine with the bridegroom like the wise did, they would have used more wisdom or maybe course corrected earlier on. Instead, they tried to bite off the preparation of the wise and then rush to get prepared, which, as we know, they were too little too late. And as a result, not only did they not make it into the celebration, but then they were told that they were not even known by the bridegroom. Ouch. Personally, this parable urges me to spend more time evaluating my life and taking an honest examination of my own preparedness and wisdom and opportunities. Do I make my best efforts every day to be prepared for the return of Jesus? Do I use wisdom in creating boundaries that don't assume that I'm a savior, nor allow my loving care for others to get me out of a position of preparedness? And do I value the opportunity to dine with the Lord as something worth protecting and watching for? These are real questions that I will make a bit more of a habit of asking myself on a regular basis. So from a personal perspective, I'm encouraged to be a wise virgin. The parable of the 10 virgins has an impact on our understanding of Jesus in both a first century and a contemporary perspective. In the first century, the parable may not have made as much sense prior to the death of Christ because those following him had not fully accepted what was to come of his fate. So in many ways, this parable was like preparing them for what they did not know they actually needed preparation for, which is his return that we're still waiting for. By any means, though, in their wait, post-ascension, once this parable made sense to them, first century believers likely were encouraged to be like wise bridesmaids and watch for his return. Similarly, in contemporary times, when we read or study this parable, we are encouraged to be prepared for the return of Jesus. As we're closer now than the believers of the first century, due to both the time that's already passed, but also the signs of the time, we should probably be even more impacted by Jesus' teaching to watch, as we don't know the day nor the hour. Both then and now, the parable teaches us that Jesus has given us time here and now to prepare for his return, and that in itself is an example of his grace. As the parable of the 10 dancers put a unique twist on the parable of the 10 virgins, it's important that the message is the same. As Matthew 25:13 reads, "So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day nor the hour of my return." Thank you.